Call the meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation by Resurrection Lutheran.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to be here to lift you in prayer. Let's pray. Gracious God, we give you thanks for today. We give you thanks for our community, and we ask that you'll continue to bless it and watch over it. And as our elected council gathers tonight, we ask that you'd give them wisdom, good discussion, decisions that are made would be wise. We ask you to bless the folks that are here in the chambers today, and we'd ask that you'd help everybody to stay calm and have good discussions. We ask you to watch over our first responders. We ask you to watch over our military, keep them safe and their families comforted as their loved ones defend us and help us when we're in need. And we ask that you will bring peace into the world. But for now, we're thankful for today and for this moment, and we bring it all to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Roll call, please.
Look at that, perfect timing.
Dosher. McCardle. Barrington. Allen.
Here.
Charts. Smith. Savers.
Here.
Rice.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Your timing's impeccable, Mr. Barrington. Approval of consent agenda items. Items appearing on the consent agenda may be removed by a council member for discussion beginning of formal agenda items. Is there anything you wish to remove or discuss? Motion by Mr. Allen, second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? Roll call. Anybody in the audience wish to address any of these? Okay, roll call, please.
Barrington.
Aye.
Allen. Charts. Aye. Savers.
Aye.
Rice.
Aye.
Dosher. McCardle.
Motion carries. Citizens input. If you need to address the mayor and member of city council on an item that's not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium, state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. Is there anything anybody wish to address council? Anything council wants to say? Okay, Board of Adjustment. You want to call Mr. Smith?
I'm going to do it on here, I guess. It might be easier to.
Okay. Board of Adjustment, entertain a motion for City Council recess, says Board of Adjustment.
Hello.
Hi, Jeff.
Motion by Mr. Rice,
Hello.
second by Mr. McCardle.
Can you hear me, Stephanie?
Yep, we got you on.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. All right, from here on out, they'll all be roll call votes because Mr. Smith is on the phone. So, hearing and action on application for Jacob and Jenna Sonny. Jacob and Jenna Sonny have applied for conditional use permit to operate a family residential daycare located at 1120 Sunnyside Court, legally described Lot 10 of R.W. Mueller's first edition subdivision of the portions of Block 7 and 8. Sunnyside addition, City of Mitchell, Davis County, South Dakota. Property is zoned R4 high density. Mr. Janigas.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this 6-0 with one abstaining with 3 conditions: that its license is non-transferable, business ceases to operate for 6 months, new application will be required, and pass a fire inspection. 23 letters were sent out to neighbors. We had 2 respond in favor. They have passed a fire inspection already. There were no concerns from any other neighbors.
Move to approve with conditions.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rice, second by Mrs. Charts. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? Roll call, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Charts. Aye. Allen.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye.
McCardle.
Aye.
Dosher. Rice.
Aye.
Savers.
Motion carries. Hearing and action on application for Flats on Havens LLC. Flats on Haven LLC has applied for conditional use permit to operate a multifamily dwelling located at 1525 West Havens, legally described as Block 4, Sunnyside Addition, City of Mitchell, Davis County, South Dakota, except the east 175 feet thereof, except the north 151.45 feet of the west 167 thereof, except the north 50 feet of the west 50 feet of the south 165 feet of the east 55 feet block 4 thereof, and except lots H4 and H5. The said real property is owned by no business. Mr. Jenigan.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this 7-0. 15 letters were sent out, none were returned. What they plan to do is they've done a feasible study there and would like to turn the hotel into a 90-bedroom apartment building complex. They know that it'll have to be brought up to code for that dwelling as opposed to what the hotel is.
I'm just wondering how soon they can clean up that parking lot and take down that sign.
They wish to get started on it relatively fast.
Oh, I just think this is great news. We need to get that property, we need to get some improvements made, and certainly this is an important, housing is an important thing that we're missing in this community or that we're lacking in, so I will move approval of the flats on Havens.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Charles.
Second.
Second by Mr. Allen. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? Roll call.
Rice.
Aye.
Sabers.
Abstain.
Smith. Smith.
Aye.
Sharks.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye.
McCardle.
Aye.
Dosher.
Motion carries. Hearing and action on the application for High Wings LLC. High Wings LLC has applied for conditional use permit to operate an assembly hall located at 40580 250th Street, legally described as Kelly Tract 1, a subdivision, excuse me, of the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter. Kelly Tracts 1A and 2, a subdivision of the south half of the southeast quarter, west 280 or 208.75 feet of the south 208.75 feet of the southeast quarter of the southeast quarter, all in section 36, township 104 north, range 60 west of the 5th primary, the city of Mitchell, Davis County, South Dakota. Said property is zoned UD urban development. Mr. Jenigan.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this 4-3. Discussion at Planning Commission, there were 5 letters sent out to neighbors. We had one returned with questions. From that, 7 people spoke during Planning Commission against it or with concerns about it. Most of the concerns that were brought up were noise, traffic, law enforcement jurisdiction, fireworks permits, alcohol consumption. We did also discuss that this would be the concept of the property for the assembly hall, that the code enforcement or building, they're changing the uses of the building. That would be with the building permit portion of it because they would have to increase sprinklers, exits, things like that. But that would be after this would be approved. If it were approved, that would get brought up. Mr. Peterson, representing High Wings LLC, is here. If you have questions for him or if you have any more for me, I can answer them as well.
Yeah. Mr. Peterson.
Good evening. I really don't have anything more to add than what Mark said. Again, it's the purpose for tonight is the applicant is asking for a conditional use for assembly hall or a wedding venue, and that was always known in the purchase agreement. It was set forth as what the purpose was for. And so again, it's the concept. I know that there's neighbors that have concerns, but again, as Mark said, whatever's out there will have to meet City of Mitchell code, for sure, for building. For the event center, it's going to have to meet all the requirements that the city has, noise ordinances and those types of things. And at this point, they don't know exactly how it's going to look or how it's going to be laid out, because step one is whether or not the council approves the concept of having a wedding venue out there. Once they have that, then they go into phase 2, which is designing what it will look like, and they'll have to be back at least to the code officers, John and the others, to present those plans to make sure that they comply with the code. So that's what we're here tonight to ask for, is whether or not the city council approves the concept of a wedding venue at that location. Thanks.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Peterson? Okay. Don't go too far, just in case you have to come back. Okay. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. McCardle. Second by Mr. Rice. Further discussion? Okay, anybody in the audience want to address this? Okay, roll call vote, please.
There is some.
I'm sorry. I'm slow on the uptake. I apologize. Good evening. My name is Shirley Thompson. Thank you for the opportunity to voice our concerns. A lot of our concerns were voiced during the Planning Commission meeting, but the Planning Commission was also very honest with the fact that they really hadn't read the 2 pages of submitted comments that I'd had either. And so...
Sorry, I'm just making sure he
That's a
can hear you.
councilman that's on the phone, so you can hear.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I wasn't sure if he was listening on the microphone or not. And so I guess I still have some concerns about, now tonight, I guess it is going to be a wedding venue primarily, where a litany of things were listed at the Planning Commission meeting. We do have the property directly to the east. We are zoned as agricultural property, and when we purchased the property, of course, we made a pretty large investment to do so, keeping it as agriculture without ever thinking that it wouldn't be just a single-family residence, just like the UD property that's to the east of us. So I guess we've got some concerns, since we do share the property line. As a mom that paid quite a bit of money to move out here and to have a nice, safe, quiet place to raise our kids, there's already a lot of traffic on those roads already, and I just have some deep concerns. And I do appreciate the council letting us voice those concerns about how we're going to manage traffic, and just to not allow some things to go down. And of course, we're used to living in the country, so I'm not exactly sure what the noise ordinances are for living in town in regards to having a venue where there are people out partying till what time. So if you wouldn't mind giving me some clarification.
There's a noise ordinance that goes into effect at 11 p.m., correct,
Okay.
Mr. Coster?
Without having the codified law in front of me, I believe you are correct, Mayor.
And is there...
Outside the building, yes.
Yes.
So if they were to
Gotcha.
have a band or I don't know what they plan to have, it would have to be pretty much done, or they would have to come in and get a special permit to go later than that, at which time neighbors would be notified and there'd be a hearing for it.
Thank you for clarifying. And then,
Same thing with if they were to do fireworks.
right, which also being an agricultural property, that's a concern we have also, because we will have livestock on this property, and if there is going to be large, loud noises. I also have 4 children, and 3 of them are pretty small, and so it's really important that they're able to rest. So if there's going to be partying till 11 o'clock at night, I have some deep concerns just about fireworks usage. And then, of course, alcohol. Like I said, the roads and the neighbors have reaffirmed the fact that those roads are very busy, and so trying to figure out how to manage some of the traffic are really some of the largest concerns that we have, since there's already quite a bit of traffic out there currently. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address council?
Mayor, council members, my name is Lauren Van Overshield. I'm the property owner directly to the west of the Kelly property. Some 15, I don't know where to really start, so I'm going to start at the very beginning, so just bear with me and I'll lay this out for you. Some 15-some years ago, I realized that everything kind of seems like this whole thing stems about the lake. And I had a property out there that I thought could help facilitate cleaning up some of the lake issues that were being talked about. I noticed there was some new programs out to help address those issues. I contacted them and was able to enroll my property into that program to help clean up the lake. It wasn't but a year later, in having conversations with Mr. Kelly, he did the same thing with his land. So we've got a mile of land there that was filtering water for the lake and doing what I think a lot of people thought should be done. And in the meantime, now the city has come out, and I'm apparently assuming you kind of purchased some land in the agricultural county. Is that correct? Was that, and then you annexed that into the city?
We purchased the Kelly property
Yes.
along with the 320 plus or minus acres to the north. So the area along the creek and the Kelly property are annexed in. Mrs. Thompson's property is still in the county. Obviously, you're still in the county.
Yes.
And everything, the cropland to the north is still in the county. That is not in the city limits.
So the property in the city limits is,
Pretty much the creek. Is there a way to call that up, Justin?
Stuff he's got it here.
Okay. Stuff within the black boundary there.
okay. So you are surrounded by ag zone property, correct?
Yes.
Does that not raise any issues with anybody?
Well, we got a lot of ag around the city, so.
Around the city, but not around one
Well,
piece of
pieces-
property of the city?
Well, that's not really true. If you go
Okay.
northeast of the lake,
Well,
there's
okay,
there's an area that's surrounded by ag
I
as
don't
well.
live
So
out there.
you could pick out developments that have ag surrounding them. So-
Okay, that have been annexed into the city? I guess I wasn't
Yes.
aware that the city purchased property and,
Well, it's not the city, but it's residential property that is surrounded by ag,
oh,
so.
not owned by
I
the
mean,
city,
it's within the city limits.
but not owned by the city?
No, that's not owned by the city, that's privately owned.
Okay, and that's,
And this will be privately owned as well.
okay. I assume that it will be. So, I'm sorry. Let me, just to clarify this, the city purchased land out in the county, changed it to city land, took it away from the county, rezoned it, this board rezoned it, and now this board wants to give a conditional use for that land to facilitate the sale of it. Correct me if I'm
No,
not
you're right.
correct.
And the
That's right,
reason it was
that's right.
rezoned is because we don't have ag property really within the city of Mitchell.
So it was urban development.
It's urban development, which is what you have to the east of, well, where Mr. Kiner and those guys live.
Right, but not adjacent to it. You've got ag surrounding that.
Well, it has to be adjacent to it because you can't, it would be spot zoning if we weren't able to go contiguous with where the other urban
I'm sorry,
development
back that up. You has to be, what was that again?
contiguous. So if you look, the stuff within the city
Yeah.
that goes along the creek is already urban development.
So the creek is where the connection is?
Yes.
Okay.
By
Okay.
Jeff Harris's house, I believe.
Right below Jeff
Correct.
Harris.
Right below.
Does
yep.
not, does the county still own some land down in there?
There is a little, yes, right there, that little, see that little
The old bridge?
bow-looking thing? Yes,
Right.
the old bridge.
So where does it tie in then?
Right, see the opening right
The
there?
driveway?
That's where it ties in.
The driveway?
Yes.
Okay. So this board is being, or this council is being tasked with rezoning this to facilitate the sale of a property.
It's already rezoned.
Rezone, okay, conditional use.
Urban development
Conditional use.
allows this kind of thing
Okay.
as a conditional use.
Conditional
Which is what
use.
they're coming in for, to get the conditional use to be able to do it in this area.
Okay, so now my question is, what happens in the future should this no longer be an assembly hall? What can it become?
Well, it would be able to do whatever's in urban development. With that, I don't have that off the top of my head. But if they cease to use it, then the
Right.
conditional use goes away.
And back
They
to
would have to, back to just urban
urban
development.
development?
So if somebody else wanted to do this as a wedding venue, they would have to come for another conditional use. It's tied to the owner. So if, let's say you bought it from I-Wings, or whatever they're called.
Transfer it.
You would have to come in for another conditional use. It does not transfer with the property.
Okay, so it'd go back to urban development or.
It is, it
square
doesn't
one.
change from
Doesn't
urban
change,
development.
it's just a conditional use?
It's just
Okay.
the conditional use
Okay,
does not
thank you.
follow the sale. It's
Thank you.
not automatic.
I see. Thank you
Okay.
for that clarification. So I guess my question is, you purchased the property for some 4.1 million, and now you're selling,
We purchased the house for 2.5 and the additional land for 1.6. So 4.1 was the total cost.
Of-
We're selling this for roughly 1.6.
Did-
We used this to leverage the federal government's grant program for another million. So technically, we got our 2.6 out of the house property. We still own the cropland.
the crop, yes, and the bottom and
Yes.
and the rest of that area. So did you offer for this land for sale for $1.5 million for residential purpose or for urban development with no conditions?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
I mean,
It was urban development.
all along, but was it offered for sale at that price for urban development?
It was at urban development. When we bought it, we
Yep.
we
But was it
rezoned it,
offered-
so
was
the
it-
sale was for urban development land.
Yeah, but was it offered at this price for that, without condition? At this
Yes.
price?
Yes.
And no takers?
Correct.
With zoning, and you can do whatever you want along with the.
Could you hold that up?
I'll hold it up,
Okay.
sorry. Jeff, can you restate that, please? Jeff Smith, on the phone.
Sorry, no,
Do you want to restate your comment? Okay.
That's fine. That's fine.
I think we're kind of talking in circles, Mayor. I mean, the fact is, the property was on the market for over a year and a half,
Right.
and anybody could have made any offer they
Correct.
Correct. And I understood there was offers made, or an offer made, that was unacceptable.
There was
Yeah.
one that was made for 1.1 million, which the council did not take because they wanted us to add in several hundred acres, which we could not do.
Sure.
That was why it was flat out rejected.
Okay. I mean, that's your decision. That doesn't matter. I guess my biggest concern has already been, you've heard, it's out in the country. You've got a couple miles of gravel to get to it, no matter how you try to get to it, surrounded by ag land. And, you know, if it belongs to still zoned ag, you know, they can do what they want with that land, you know, in that area, so long as the new owners are aware of that. And
We're aware of that.
Okay. And the dust and everything associated with it, livestock smells, whatever, do they have to, are they bound by the ag ordinances then? I know when I did some property out there, you had to fill out paperwork that you were aware that you were surrounded by ag property and there might be ag activities going on.
Maybe Don can speak to this. They're aware that it's ag and that ag practices will continue to occur.
Sure.
It will continue on the property that's to the north that the city still owns, is still cash rented to the farmer that's doing that, so.
Across the creek.
The document he's referring to is the county, anytime you plat land in the county, you have to sign an ag covenant. That ag covenant is saying that you are aware that farming practices happen on your land or around your land. So that way, you can't get mad at a farmer combining at midnight for 3 weeks in the fall, or you have a pool and you've got corn stalks coming into it from the wind, because Davison County, South Dakota, ag state. So that's what that document is.
Okay. Yeah, we do not have anything like that in cities. But they are aware that
But they
ag
are aware that
practices will continue out there.
Across the road from their location.
Yep.
All right. With that, I guess I have no further questions and put it in your hands to,
Okay.
thank you.
You want to bring Jeff over? Anybody else wish to talk to this? Okay, make sure he's on there. Roll call vote, please.
Jeff, now we need you. Can you unmute your phone?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
McCardle.
Aye.
Dosher. Rice.
Aye.
Sabers.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Charts. Allen.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
I just hung up on him.
Well, we're on the Board of Adjustment now anyway, so reconvene the City Council, entertain motion, Board of Adjustment to adjourn the City Council, reconvene. Motion by Mr. Rice. Second by Mrs. Charles. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Both nay. Motion carried. Action to authorize purchase of fitness equipment for the rec center totaling $27,356. Mr. Nelson, you want to speak to that?
Mr. Mayor and Council, Kevin Nelson from Park and Rec. Due to some unanticipated funding through LifeQuest, we have the opportunity to replace some equipment and to add to some equipment, including 2 elliptical machines, 2 new steps, and 2 rowing machines.
Thank you, LifeQuest, and move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Rice.
Second.
Second by Mr. Barrington. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this?
What's the timing on replacement?
As soon as we can get it.
That might be a while. Okay, anybody else wish to address anything? Yeah. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to authorize mayor to sign an application for the state water plan for Lake Mitchell Restoration Project. Mr. Schrader.
Yep. Mr. Mayor, Council, the city currently has a Lake Mitchell project on the state water plan, which will expire in October. The attached application places the project back on the state water plan. It does not obligate any funds. It just allows us to apply for DNR funding if we do decide to do so. The project cost is that we have listed in the application is $38,465,000. That is well above the amounts we have discussed, but this is for that cost right there makes the drawdown eligible, and it also includes removing 100% of the material in the lake, and is a conservative estimate. We just want to make sure that this application covers the cost of the project that we select. So we come in high, and then we will reduce it as needed when the final project comes forward.
Joe, you said 38,460,000.
Or sorry.
Did you mean million?
Yeah, you
Did you? So I just wanted to make sure that we knew which was the correct number.
$38,465,000.
Okay.
Thank you. With that, staff does recommend that council approve the application and allow the mayor to sign.
And this was on the state water plan before, but the time expired, correct?
Correct, and it was FIRA's plan previously, and now we are updating it to BAR's.
Another point just to make, as well as twice we have applied for congressionally designated funding, and on those applications, you also can get additional points or additional, I guess, looked at additionally if you show that you have an unfunded project on a state plan. So it's also good to show that just for other potential funding sources as well.
We'll keep looking for congressionally designated spending as well.
This keeps us on here for another 2 years, or?
I believe that's correct.
That's correct.
So it's a 2-year cycle,
Yeah.
Correct.
depending on where we end up?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Allen. Second by Mr. Barrington. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to approve Agreement A 2022-35, Independent Contractor Agreement for Professional Services for Medical Director. This is for who we've been using. Is that right, Mr. Larson?
That is correct. Mayor, Council, Dr. Hillary Rockwell is our current medical director. Her job title and responsibilities have changed with Queen of Peace. She is now unable to fulfill her contract, I guess, with us as medical director. Dr. Matthew Schaefer, an emergency medicine doctor, has agreed to take that over as of, if approved, as of October 1st.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Mr. McCardle, second by Mr. Barrington. Further discussion?
This is still the $5,000 fee?
Correct.
Okay. Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Hearing an action to approve Resolution R 2022-56, collection of special assessment roll for the nuisance abatements and water service repairs. Mr. Johnson.
All right. Here's our annual collection hearing that we're going to hold concerning the 2021 nuisance abatements, which is snow removal and mowing, and also we had one water service repair. If this is approved tonight, Finance Office will send out notices tomorrow. We've already sent out notices to everybody involved, which is about 75 people, of what their final amount is, and then that we have this hearing tonight. Starting tomorrow, they'll have 30 days to come to Finance Office and pay it for no interest. After that, then it'll start at an 8% interest. All the nuisances will be for the amount of, to be paid all within 1 year, and the water service repair will be a 10-year installment plan that comes out as part of your first tax payment of the year. So we'll start no interest tomorrow, September 20th, The last day of no interest will be October 19th. The final amounts for nuisance abatements that we are asking to be collected is $24,511.54. And then water service repair was $836.99. So the total amount that we're going for this collection is $25,348.53. With that, I will open it up to the public for any questions about their collection. Has anyone got a question? Okay, council, any questions?
So you said there's about 75,
Yeah.
count them up, and I like trying to quick count. Breakdown of snow removal versus mowing, and you said there's one water.
Yeah.
That's easy one to pick out. Looks like there's at least 40 plus snow removal.
And a lot of these have already been paid.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they all know a bill's coming.
Right.
Yeah.
But they've already been, all these people have already been billed probably multiple times. These are the people that haven't paid.
Haven't paid, okay.
Yeah.
So I noticed that a lot of these addresses, I mean, the people that, maybe the owners live out of town or out of state, is that right? So
Yeah.
these aren't like primary residences, they're
There are a multitude of everything.
properties.
Yeah. And we get the request from people that own vacant property. It'd be nice for us to have a notice, but we don't search out for people and get them a notice. We tag it. What, the code enforcement officer does is he'll put up a lath, he'll say, I'm tagging it now, and then I'll wait a couple days, and if it's not done, then we're going to remove the snow or mow it. That way we're not searching for property owners all the time. All right, with that, you could go into the resolution.
Okay. Motion to approve the resolution?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Rice, second by Mr. Barrington. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience want to address the resolution? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to approve resolution R 2022-57, plat of lots 1, 2, and 3, McLeod's Addition in the north half of the of the northwest quarter of Section 14, Township 102 North, Range 60 West, of the 5th Prime Meridian, Davis County, South Dakota. Mr. Jenigas.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this 7-0. This is not within the ETJ, so it's not our zoning jurisdiction, but it is within 3 miles of city limits, so we have to hear this as well. They're doing some estate planning down there. They already have one residence. I believe it's kind of on lot 2. They're looking for their kids to be able to build out there as well, so they're just doing some estate planning with that. County Planning Commission recommended approval of this already. Commission will hear it tomorrow morning.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Barrington, second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to approve resolution R 2022-58, plat of track 1 of Devon's Addition, northwest quarter, section 19, township 104 north, range 60 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, Davis County, South Dakota, except lot H1 thereof. Mr. Jenigan.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this 7-0 as well. Again, this is not within the ETJ, but it's within the 3-mile jurisdiction. Their land is currently described by measurements right now, so per county ordinance, they're not allowed to get a building permit, so they're coming in compliance with the county ordinance, so they'll be able to get a building permit for it. Planning Commission for the county recommended approval. Commission will hear it tomorrow.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Allen.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Charks. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to approve resolution R 2022-59, plat of lot 9, block 5, Woods First Edition. Janigas.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this 7-0. It follows along with the master plan for the area. Actually, neighbor to the west is going to be purchasing this lot. There were no concerns from Planning Commission.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Rice.
Second.
Second by Mr. Savers. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Hearing and action to approve Resolution R 2022-61, tax levies to be certified by county auditor, to county auditor.
I'm going to go ahead, okay.
When you two can speak to this?
Yep, I'm going to go ahead and start. As you know, it's our second budget year now where we changed our timelines for adopting our annual budget, but we are still required to certify our taxes for levy purposes to the county auditor. Michelle has prepared a resolution that shows what that tax levy is, as well as the historical tax data. Blow it up here so people can see that better. So you can see for 2023 with evaluation, our CPI increase is 3%, which amounted to $171,254. The growth was 5.41%, which amounted to $308,829. Just for council's information, when we did budget, we did not have that final growth from the county auditor. So in case you're wondering, the amount that we didn't have budgeted would have been $240,289. So I'll show that for your future budget discussions. The other thing that was interesting is Michelle and I were expecting to see, as you can see in previous years, we have low growth between 1 to 2%. 2.25 was the highest. Bringing your attention to that we did have 4 TIFs that paid off. We had TIF number 11 paid off in December of 21, 15 in December of 21, 17 was in July of 21, and 18 was in January of 22. When you take I actually had this pull up, so if you wanted to look at it. I did total up the total of those TIFs. The total value increase from those TIFs added to the tax rolls, it just went away, sorry. It's $35,439,895. So of those, you can see TIF number 11 was $877,155. TIF number 15, $6,971,430, and then 17 and 18. And these will have go up a little bit even more. It's just that I haven't got the final value report that comes from the Department of Revenue. So that's based on the last report that I saw.
So Stephanie, those TIFs all got paid off early?
No, not all of them.
Some of them?
Oh, shoot. Did you see that? I meant to hit cancel.
I believe there are
can't see that far away.
20-year TIF.
Yep, I'll pull it back up. Sorry about that.
Good to know.
Okay. So TIF number 11 paid off in 7 years. TIF number 15 paid off in 10 years. TIF.
Make that so we can see her
Or
not.
Then I can't do both. I'm sorry. TIF number 17 paid off in 11 years. And TIF number 18 paid off in 10 years.
So all those TIFs were 20-year TIFs, I believe.
Yep.
So that's good.
So good. It's good that that growth in value is now showing up on the tax roll, and out of that, a lot of those were housing developments, which were great for the community as well. And I just wanted to take just a second to point that out, because that growth number of 5.41 is very high, but that's high because we had those 4 TIFs come off and get added back into the tax assessment.
And I don't know if it's something that you want to do at this point, but there are a lot of questions about TIFs. Do you want to explain the difference of the way we do a TIF today as opposed to how we used to?
Sure, and I'll probably talk about it even on number 21 because we have a TIF district, but boy, it's been the last 4 or 5 TIFs, we did stop allowing them to go against the city's constitutional debt. What we do now is we just do a pass-through grant that we review based on criteria outlined in the project plan, and they get the TIF increment as it's generated. So let's say somebody has a project plan saying that their increment is going to be valued worth $1 million. Well, they don't get $1 million from bond financing or anything up front. Just as that increment starts to generate, we pass those funds through to the developer to pay off eligible TIF project costs. So it's been good for us because we actually see the value before they're receiving the increment. It also ensures that it's not going against our constitutional debt, which we needed to hold on for projects that we have coming up in the near future. So it's working out pretty well. We have a good internal review team that reviews those TIFs to make sure that they're following what we've outlined for guidelines and expectations moving forward. So you'll see one tonight, and you'll see that process walk through. So.
Okay, another question? Okay, entertain a motion.
Move approval of resolution 2021.
Motion by Mr. Rice, second by Mr. Savers. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? Okay. Should point out that our levy actually went down. So. Okay. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Hearing in action to approve Resolution R 2022-62, creating tax increment District 28 and approving project plan. Who's going to speak to this? Ms. Zellwein?
I can start us off. So this is in relation to the Flats on Havens project that you saw in another capacity earlier tonight. This would be the TIF aspect of that project. As Stephanie just mentioned on our last item, the TIF review team worked together to review the initial application. We worked with the applicant to help make modifications to that project plan and make sure that it was in compliance with all the state law requirements and all the local requirements that we have in our TIF handbook and everything. So I think we were finally able to get through that process, and that's why we're here tonight. There are a number of findings that are included in the resolution tonight, and the TIF review team did find that it met all of the requirements. So I guess with that, we can open it up to the applicant if they have any comments, or council if there's questions.
Good evening, Nathan Stencil Group, representing the project. Just want to answer any questions that you guys may have this evening, and apologize for missing the first one. You guys, you move really quick, which is great.
We try to.
Yeah.
Tell us about your timeline.
Yeah, so this was the first step, but our timeline would be, we'll probably be starting demo and then move forward with the project within the next 60 days. And then probably be opening kind of late next summer, early fall.
Would you also share what you talked about in the planning and zoning of what changes you're going to make to the outside parking lot, exterior, et cetera?
Sure, yeah, good question. So current use obviously is a hotel. It's just not functional in that capacity anymore. So we do a lot of multifamily housing kind of throughout South Dakota, throughout Minnesota. So looked at the project to see if it was feasible to turn it into a multifamily housing project. And it is, with the assistance of TIF. Without the use of the TIF, it does not make any financial sense as multifamily either. So what we're proposing to do is we're going to be completely redoing, I guess start from the outside, we'll be redoing the whole parking lot 360 degrees around it. So even the area that is represented in kind of white behind what the Sinclair station there, in that area will be all redone. The whole middle area, so the building itself is kind of a U, and it's covered, and then that's where the pool is, which I'm sure you've all seen it. That area will be coming off. The pool will stay. That'll be a green area for outdoor activities. We'll have the pool, we'll have a dog park all in that middle area. And then by taking the roof off, then it makes those interior units more accessible so that we can actually turn them into housing. So in that whole just back area will be cleaned up, all new curb, gutter, asphalt, like I said, all the way around the building. New green areas will be added. more new plantings, new trees all the way around. As far as the exterior, there'll be a lot of significant changes, removing of kind of that green awning area all the way around, more of a modern look on the whole front. As you look at the building today, you have the kind of the door and windows and the heating and cooling unit. That's really kind of one piece. All of that comes out, will be framed back in, patio doors, hanging balconies, all the way around the outside. So a much more modern look for what's expected with housing today. On the inside, pretty much got everything. The building itself is all concrete. So the roof's concrete, the floors are concrete, the walls are cinder block or concrete. So it's structurally, it's a great building, but we'll be stripping everything out and then updating all of the plumbing, the sewer, because there are some issues out in the area with that currently. New wiring, fire sprinkler to bring it up to code that way. So yeah, just kind of top to bottom, done.
And the banquet area, the kitchen and the bar area will become housing, or?
No, that actually currently is on the market, so that area will be staying the same. So like we'll be doing the whole roof area, all new roof on all structure, the whole structure, meaning convention and in the bar restaurant area. But bar restaurant area, we're not doing anything with currently. It is on the market, hoping that someone is interested in acquiring those facilities. In the event they don't, we're going to have to look at some alternate uses or do some with them ourselves.
How many rooms is there now?
Oh, well, I think there's 128 rooms in the building. What? Okay, Dan, 155. I was going to say, I didn't want to put any pressure on him, but he knows more than I do.
Just exactly.
Yeah.
Would it take 2 rooms and make one big one? Or
That's exactly it. So the funny part is the way, a hotel room really is about 12 and a half feet wide. So most of our, like if you went to any of our buildings today, like a 1-bedroom would be 25 by 24 essentially. So 2 make one of our 1 beds, 3 make one of our 2 beds, and then if you take 3 and divide it kind of in half, you can make some studio units. So very efficient from a layout perspective, and we're able to take the 154 units and turn them into 90 living units. So.
Will you have an exercise?
Yeah. Yep. Very nice exercise area, and then a great club room area that's about 1,000 square feet. That's located on the bottom floor, so that people will be able to have parties and birthday parties or whatever they got going on, and then close access to the pool area.
And then I would just point out for council, those newer terms that we were just talking about that we put into the TIF plans, you can find those all on page 10 and 11. So if you wanted to look at the details as to what we're requiring on this TIF or the public, that's where they would find it. The total amount that we aren't allowing the interest, the length, expiration, 20 years or when the increment is earned. And we put the caveat, these are some of the things that you were asking about earlier, Susan, that if it does not get classified correctly, it will not go through, so that we ensure that that is spread on a statewide basis. We require anyone inside of a TIF to waive the discretionary formula, so that increment is paid faster and that's paid off sooner. So I just wanted to point that out, that's where you could find that information if you're interested.
Yeah. And I think currently on our schedule, it looks like it would probably be paid off in like 17 years roughly, but I'm sure taxes will be adjusted, and I would assume that would terminate sooner.
Yeah, a lot of times we don't factor in just the normal growth and assessed valuation, so
Yep,
then
it's static.
generating faster and paying
Yep.
off faster.
So we're at 1.495 million for 20 years and pending state approval of the application. Okay. I'll move approval.
Motion by Mr. Ray.
Second.
Second by Mr. Barrington. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this?
We're so glad you're doing this.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate your help.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Good luck.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Mr. Savers abstains. Second reading on ordinance O 2022-14, rezoning plat of Lot 11 of Sharpstone subdivision, a subdivision of the northwest, or excuse me, of the west half, south half of the southwest border of the northwest border of Section 9, Township 103 North, Range 60 West of the 5th Prime Meridian, City of Mr. Davis County, South Dakota, Zone R4 High Density Residential to Sharpstone Plan Development District. Mr. Jenigas.
Mr. Mayor and Council, as you remember, Planning Commission recommended approval of this 7-0. There were 36 letters sent out, 11 returned in favor, 5 against. Concerns were drainage for the area, the lot size, side yard setbacks, and infrastructure for the area. This is a concept plan that we see in front of you right now for what they're looking to do for it. They'll have to have civil stamp plans with drainage and site plans for all of that, but they're looking for a one-way street coming off Omen up to Sharpstone Drive. It'll be an HOA. They'll have to take care of the road, the utilities, all of that. There's been nothing new to my office since the first reading, so I have nothing new to add. If you have any questions, I can answer them. Applicant's here too if you have any questions for him at all.
Okay.
Move to place on second reading.
Motion by Mr. Allen, second by Mr. Barrington. Further discussion? Mr. Kerner, you want to say anything?
No, I think less is more.
Okay. Yeah, it's open to anybody that wants to speak, so. Anybody else in the audience want to talk about it?
I did get a phone call from one of the people who previously
We have one coming up, so
Oh.
just so you know. All right, go
who
ahead.
previously had written a disapproval and said that she had visited with the developers and was changing her vote, and that she indicated that there were others who had also sent letters of disapproval who also had had that opportunity to visit with the developer, who also, although I didn't get calls from them, I did get a call from her, and she indicated that, which I can't verify one way or the other, but, so I just wanted to make that a mention of that.
Okay, Ms. Burchett.
Good evening. My name is Penny Burchell, and just again, I don't know who called you, Ms. Sharks, but, just again, just the concern about the drainage and concern for backup in our basements, the ones that do have lots associated, we all do, and so we're concerned, again, of the drainage, any sewage backup, and if that were to happen, who would be responsible for that? Also, I understand that there will be a survey or whatever, the drainage plan, I guess we would like to be aware of what the plan is. When that's developed, that, like I said, we, a couple of years ago, spent some time burying our sump pump hose so they go out to that culvert. So I guess making sure that all that is taken care of as well. At the last meeting, one of the things that they had talked about was the HOA and the snow removal, which they'll be responsible for. On our cul-de-sac, it is a city street, so the city does remove that, they pile up, they remove it. We go ahead and we hire a service to take care of the snow removal. They do that. They don't have to remove it off of our property. We've got plenty of space there to do that. If there is an overflow, they do hire a truck to take the snow away. But that still, I think, is a concern. If it goes off of Sharpstone, still, the city has to take care of Sharpstone Drive
We
as
do.
far as,
Yes.
yeah, and so what will that mean for us? We don't know, but.
Shouldn't mean anything for you. Shouldn't affect you in any
Yeah.
way. They'll be required to take care of their own road. They can't push it across onto city boulevards.
Yeah.
So it has
Yeah,
no effect whatsoever.
I understand that. A couple times that we've had problems, I still work, and and have problems getting my service in to take care of my snow because the city hasn't been out to take care of our street, which I understand there's a lot of street, but just a concern that I'd like to raise, so thank you.
And as far as the drainage goes, that will be engineered by a professional engineer, so it will be covered. You want to speak to that at all, Mr. Schrader?
Just like I said last time, we'll follow our regular city ordinances. The drainage plan will need to be designed by a professional engineer. Our offices will review it and sign off on it as well.
Yep, thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Anybody else in the audience wish to address this? Okay, this is on second reading. All those in favor of second reading, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Motion to adopt, Mr. Rice, is that first? Second by Mr. Sabers. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Allen.
Aye.
Barrington. McCardle. Dosher. Rice.
Aye.
Sabers. Charts.
Motion carries. All right, entertain a motion to go into executive session in accordance with 125-2-4, employee negotiations, and 3, legal. Motion by Mr. Rice, second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. There will be no action after executive session.